My sound ranges from ambient, which I do mostly with tape and piano and odd modular synthesizers, to experimental techno, I would say, which I do with machines such as this. This project started about 2 years ago, and that's right in the beginning of when I started collecting vintage test equipment and measurement equipment to make music with. And this stuff is huge, heavy, and takes up a lot of space. But in order to see if in these machines made to send rockets to the moon or to look at atoms, if there's something in there that can be used in sound, I had to buy a lot of them. So I started stacking them up in a statue form, and they really quickly assembled into something that I thought it gets very humanoid, because this has a slight robot appearance, but then there are all these individual faces. Here's a little face, here's a little face, there's a little face, and that makes it suddenly reminded me of a totem. And then I thought, okay, this seems like something from a lost civilization from the past and is now just landfill fodder. Here it can live again and sing a strange song that it never did before. After the first appearance of the Landfill Totems and the second concert, I was doubting whether these would ever sing again. When Spitfire approached me and asked, hey, let's collaborate on something, I immediately thought, this would be lovely, and I want people to hear them again, and I want people to be able to play them. That was the initial concept for me. I wanted these to sing again. I didn't want them to get lost. This process with Spitfire was by far one of the easiest processes for me. I've got personally no idea how to do a library instrument, and Spitfire have got such talented people there, and they've got their own sound ideas. And when I first got like early demos back and I listened to these sounds, I was like, what? This is crazy. Because suddenly there were all these beats and grooves that reminded me of UK garage, a huge amount of fragile pads, and then something that is the hardest thing to do with the real thing, and that is transitions. Because all these things want to do is go beep or tick, 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 tick. They don't want to move a lot. This is not meant to music. This is not meant to be playable. Just with a turn of the modulation wheel, you could go to another world. I mean, you can go through a whole scene using just this patch, one chord, and the modulation wheel. I really enjoy this. Another favorite one is Noise and Beauty, and with that name, who couldn't love that? This is so vocal and so human. There's so many more sounds here that I find absolutely useful. I mean, even when it doesn't function, like this malfunctions patch. You get something extremely beautiful and inspiring. In the drum loops, I had no idea that Landfill Totems could be so funky. So one of the simplest ways to get these to music is by pinging them. Pinging is the process of sending a short pulse into a system and letting that system then resonate. And what I'm pinging it with is this, that's the Buga, the Hewlett and Packard word generator. This is the greatest rhythm sequencer I know, because you've got here your data content, which is a 16 steps, and this is basically little triggers. And then you've got a second row, again 16 steps. So it's a dual 16-step sequencer, and you get output for the first bit and the last bit, and you can clock it externally, and you can invert the pulse that it sends. I'm always happy how cool this sounds, but let me demonstrate. So. It's a nice dry bass drum, and now I can really tune it. Can make it higher. Yeah, that's the process of how you can make a beat with something like this. I had more fun just making all these little annotations and seeing how these sounds inspire me. And there are some things where I just press play and then, okay, track is almost done. Now I just need context. And that's something where I think this library will also be really, really useful for anyone who needs sounds that are unusual and that are not synthesizer-ish, but yet are electronic. It has a certain texture and unique edge that makes it perfectly suited for anything where you have to do an underscore, or you need elements in your track that are retro-futuristic and still super fresh, because this is stuff that hasn't been heard before. One thing that I find important about this, that is a very artistic process. So this is tied to an album, this is tied to artwork, this is tied to an installation, this is tied to performance. And that's something that makes this really special. It's not like this is, let's make a test equipment library. No, this is sound art sculpture that has been turned into an instrument. So it's even way more out there than if I had just gone through all my stuff here and sampled each of these things and then, okay, here it is, that's the test equipment library. No, this is thought as a whole creative and artful project. And sharing that in this format, it's more than just, it's more than just an instrument. It's a continuation of this artwork. And I really hope I'll be able to do more with this in the future.